I outside of the Minecraft online space, I'm also a lighting technician
A lighting
in
technician?
theatre.
Oh.
Yeah, I do theatre work. So my original name before I was bumpyJake, it was Bumpy Longbottom.
Do you think if you had the name Bumpy Longbottom or Jake Longbottom or whatever, do you think that would have affected collab chances? I was making everything. I was making I made spectator mode with command blocks before spectator mode was a thing.
Because if I could go run a public event on it right now, because all I have to do is flip a switch and make it so it's not Teams mode anymore. Like it's built in a way where
Was every single person who played in the Capture the Flag and the Bingo, were they all part of the LGBTQ community or no?
we originally had like a tag game, but I think we cut it because it wasn't very fun. Yeah, exactly. It was really fun. If you're an event organizer, really pressure yourself by like constantly having a big countdown looming over you. So they spend all this time together, like playing these games together and hanging out, and then they get to the point where they have to actually vote someone out, and it becomes actually very emotional because they've formed these like connections with each other. It's the way. Okay, I say this quite a lot. I don't really consider Kabul SP to be an SMP. I have a note app on my computer, and every time I see an SMP come up on Twitter, I add it to my list. My current list is at what's it at? Let me see, 382.
Alright lads, welcome back to the InsideMC podcast, the part of the podcast where I sit down with a very special guest every single week and talk to them about them. And this was going to be the quickest intro I've ever done. However, I do have an announcement to make. On the day of recording this, it's currently 7:13 PM, 7 hours and 13 minutes ago, I announced the InsideMC Discord. This podcast is coming out next Friday, so quite a while, and the Discord would have been up for quite a while. But if you'd like to join, the Discord link is going to be in the description of every single podcast from the return, as well as every future podcast. If you want to come hang out with, people who listen to the podcast, I have set roles for set announcements. So if you're only interested in Inside MC, if you're only interested in midweek MC, or if you're only interested in the highlights, all that kind of jazz, come along, get the roles, and so you never miss a podcast. However, today I am joined with a project manager, a developer, a creative director, a video editor, and an organizer. The one and only bumpyJake.
Hello.
And that's just their CV, by the way. That's just their CV. They've got so much going for them.
You made me sound so grand.
I think, by the way, yeah, I've been practicing that intro all day because I was like, I really want to go for a grand approach, and I messed it up. I was meant to go after organizer. I was meant to go, and that's just their CV. It's bumpyJake, but I messed it up, so I'm gutted. How are you today, Jake?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. This podcast, I asked you to come on back in June, I believe, after I played in the Pride hide and seek, the Pride block hunt.
Yes.
I sent you a friend request. You ended up accepting, which was pretty cool. And then ever since, I've been wanting you to come on the podcast, and you're finally here.
Yeah, it took a few months, but we got there.
Exactly. Well, you're busy, and then, when like you get busy and can't make it for a few weeks, I didn't schedule guests. And like I was telling you before the podcast, I'm booked in for the next 7 weeks. So I get a little bit too eager when booking in guests. I was meant to stop. Yeah. I actually did quite well this month. And then I was like, let's get October set in the first week of November. I was like, a little bit far ahead, but, it's a good problem to have,
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyways, bumpyJake, as for you, I always like to give the intro for the person I have on the podcast to kind of run down who they are, what you do. Like I said, I just read out your CV or what you've put on your website. But hearing it from you, who are you? What do you do? Maybe a fun fact, anything you like.
Well, yeah, as you said, I'm a pretty well versed in the space. I organize events, run SMPs, I do development, I do editing, motion design. I kind of spread myself out quite wide over the Minecraft space. I worked on a lot of big projects with a lot of big companies and creators. I've been doing it for I guess more than 2 years now. What's a fun fact about myself?
If you can't think of one, it's fine.
I outside of the Minecraft online space, I'm also a lighting technician.
A lighting technician?
In theatre.
Oh.
Yeah, I do theatre work outside.
Your age is public, right?
Yes, it is.
You're 18, if I'm correct.
Yes, I am.
So you have all this experience in the space of 2 years. You're only 18 years of age. You've done all of this. You've worked on over 25 events, over 15 SMPs, and you work in theatre as well.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's quite a crazy I keep saying CV. It's a pretty crazy CV, isn't it? Really, to have all this experience.
Yeah. I don't know if you've seen my Discord bio, but in my Discord I have like the amount of projects I've worked on listed as like a number. It's constantly updating. That's technically over like the last 3 years, but most of it's come from like the last year and a half.
Because you didn't, when I asked like what you've worked on, because obviously 155 events, I can't really. I hope you don't expect me to find all of that by myself.
Yeah, of course.
You didn't send me like loads. You sent me about 45, 50. So how comes you didn't send? What was the other one? Are they like? I guess the ones you sent me in quotation marks, the main ones you've worked on.
Yeah. So so the list I sent you is like that is like kind of like the master list of like stuff I have worked on, but then there's stuff like I'll help like set up a server for a friend for like their stream, or I ran a couple of public servers back in like 2021, so that's on there. Like some video editing stuff I've done is also part of that. Like video editing commissions I've done is in that account. So it's also I do like I did like a couple seasons of an SMP, so that I counted that as like multiple on the count.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
So yeah, that's why.
I mean, speaking of, I mentioned that this would probably come near the end of the podcast, but since it's a topic, we might as well bring it up. You're in between recording this and when it comes out, you're actually opening up your own commissions, aren't you?
Yeah, I've done commissions for quite a while. Like I get DMs people wanting to commission me, and I've done quite a few of them. I'll bring up later. But I've never like formally been like, hey, you can commission me. So I was like, because I have some personal projects I'm working on that I want to kind of put money into. So I'm just trying to get a bit more money so I can like self-fund them as much as I can.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
So is the theatre, if you don't mind me asking, of course you don't have to answer this, is the theatre then unpaid? Is it like voluntary or?
I'm kind of like I'm doing mostly volunteer work at the moment just to like build up a bigger CV, because most places like require you to have a pretty decent CV.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing right now. And then I'm gonna start applying for things more so in the new year probably.
Oh, that's fair enough. Because even me, I mean, it's a bit of a different kind of area, but I'm a barista, which is quite ironic because I don't drink coffee. Yeah, I know. But like, even where I'm working now, like I've been a barista for the last year. They wanted 2 years of experience, but because like they tested my coffees and stuff and was like, oh, you're actually like decent at making this, they like kind of bend the rules. But even just making coffees, places now want you to be doing it for ages.
Yeah, which I think it's kind of wild. Like I feel like in theatre it's kind of easy to get volunteer work, but I don't really know how you'd get volunteer work as a barista.
Oh no, it's always been paid. No, I've never done it volunteer. I've always been a paid barista.
Yeah.
I was quite lucky that the first job I started, it was a brand new opening, and every single one of us were untrained, so they trained us for it. But I'm just saying, like, since I was at that job for so long, I just got lucky with not having to be. Yeah. Like, I don't think you can get volunteer work in all honesty. But
I was gonna say, like, I wasn't really sure if that was a thing.
No, I've always been paid for it. But your commissions then, what are they just going to be art? Are they going to be editing? What exactly? Do you have any idea yet, or is that still something you're like working out?
What I've done is I've basically put like 3 categories. So development for just like plugins and stuff, and like just for server development, which is what I mainly do at the moment. And then video editing for like trailers and cinematics and stuff. I used to do content editing, but I just kind of find it boring now. So most editing I do now, it's like trailers, it's commissions. I do clip compilations sometimes as well.
Okay.
And then the third thing is like just what did I write it down as? Like project. I just put it as like project help. Like I don't want to like if people want to pay me like a lot of money to make the whole event, then by all means. But like I've done work quite a bit where I just do like quality assurance for people's projects, and then like give them advice on like just the overall project. So like that kind of thing.
Yeah. It's
just
getting to a point
wide scope.
It's getting to a point where you're so qualified now that it'd be nice to start making a bit of money from it, kind of thing.
Yeah, like I've been making money in the like the event space for like probably I guess more than a year now. I still do a lot of unpaid projects, mostly just for fun. But obviously, as I said, like I have like personal projects I want to be able to pursue, and I need money to be able to put into them. So I'm trying to self-fund, because like getting sponsors is kind of hard.
Yeah.
So if I can, the more I can self-fund, the easier it will be on myself. So that's the purpose of the commissions.
I guess like not commission wise, but the podcast itself. The podcast is so far right now from making money. Like you need 4,000 hours watch time in the last year, and obviously with that big break, I mean, Had I've not taken that big break from last year to this year, I probably would be monetized. But right now I'm doing like the podcast for completely free, and that's why like I love interviewing guests. And even right now, like we're just having a great conversation. Like, we've never VC'd before. We've messaged a tiny bit. We've never actually interacted, and now we're talking on the podcast as if we've been mates for years, you know. And
yeah.
But like that's why I kind of thought, I guess with you, how you're putting out commissions, the whole idea behind midweek MC is because firstly I wanted to put a bit more effort into the podcast, so that's why now I upload 2 podcasts every single week. And secondly, because I want to cover topics that aren't just guest interviews, because like the one that came out last week from Wednesday, so the one that's coming out on Wednesday from recording this, it was recorded last Wednesday, and it's talking about SMPs, and I think we actually talk about Caboodle SMP a little bit on it, and then, you know, next week's one, it will come out before this, is going to be talking about the brand new MCCI update and MCC and the plushies and stuff like that. And it's like, and more people, like, because this podcast here is very much catered to people who are interested in hearing about you, whereas midweek MC is very much like general. The point I'm trying to get is like, I'm trying to do more like how you're trying to do more with the commissions, to kind of hopefully one day myself self-fund with the podcast, so I don't have to go to work. I can hunt it down on the podcast mainly, kind of thing. Sorry, it took me a bit of a while, but I got there eventually.
You got there.
With that being said then, before we get into talking more about your work, I always like to kind of talk to the guests and find out a little bit more about them. Because I can do the research and stuff, but questions I'm about to ask are stuff I can't really find out about you unless I dig deep. So don't worry, they're not personal, just general kind of topics.
What is your social security number?
If you feel like sharing it, it's up to you. I am British, by the way, so wouldn't it be national insurance number for us? I feel like it would, wouldn't it? You're British, right? You are?
Yeah.
So it'd be national insurance. Anyways.
Yeah, I'll give you that instead then.
Thank you. Send it after the podcast. Probably not best to do it on. Okay. So, first things first, I want to assume your real name is Jake, unless I'm completely wrong.
I don't think my real name is Jake. My legal name is Jacob, but
okay, yeah,
I've gone by Jake for my whole life.
Yeah,
it's all public. I've said this publicly many times. I was trying to think like, have I said this publicly? But yeah, I'm almost certain I have.
I mean, you know, yeah, it's basically the same name. It was Jacob. It's just Jake is just short for Jacob.
Yeah.
Where does the bumpy part of your online name come from?
You see, I get asked this a lot, and I kind of just like to say, I kind of just tend to like not answer because I think it's kind of funny. And my
exclusive, please.
Okay. So before I was bumpyJake online, so I used to make YouTube content back I started in like 2013. It was never good content, but it was content. And so back then, I just had my YouTube was just Jake. And because I watched a lot of Minecraft, like OG Minecraft YouTube back then. I watched a lot of Stampy when I was like first getting into Minecraft. So my original name before I was bumpyJake, it was Bumpy Longbottom, because I had watched a lot of Stampy. So that was the original name. I'm not very proud of it. It wasn't great. I don't know why I made the decision to call myself that. You know, like thinking back on it, like, so when it's not the best, but when I started secondary school and I got Instagram, I was like, you know what, I don't want my Instagram to be that bumpy. It's like, how can I combine Bumpy Longbottom and Jake? And I was like, bumpyJake, and then it's stuck with me for the last, well, how long? 7 years now.
Oh, you didn't think of going with Jake Longbottom?
You know, if only if I didn't. That would have been even worse. Like people question the bumpyJake name a lot. Yeah. Like I think, like, it would have been a lot worse if like I was in like the space I am now with the name Bumpy Longbottom. So I'm glad I made the switch.
A genuine question, and once again, it might not even be something you can't answer. It might be something you can't even like answer really. Do you think if you had the name Bumpy Longbottom or Jake Longbottom or whatever, do you think that would have affected collab chances? Like, you know, you've worked on all these big events and stuff. Do you think people with that name, do you think it would have affected collab chances?
I think it definitely would have, yeah. I don't feel like for one, like, it's not even a good name, like, in general. I feel like you know, how like your appearances, like, just on social media is a very like big factor as to whether people will want to work with you or hire. So if I, you know, like bumpyJake, like, yeah, like people might be like a bit weird, like, oh, where's the bumpy come from? But like, you know, it's very clear that my name is Jake, and like that's who I'm publicly saying I am. But like, I feel like if I were to come onto the space and be trying to like get commissions with that name, it probably would have been a lot harder.
Because it's like, and I'm not speaking for you here, I'm speaking for myself, and I said this publicly, so I'm happy to say this. It's with the podcast, like, if I was in your shoes, and you say this was your podcast, right? And I was in your shoes. If this podcast wasn't, like, presented well, or didn't look professional, like, there's a reason I have some of the guests I have on, there's a reason you've come on the podcast, there's a reason I've been able to get Fulham, there's a reason I've been able to get Ant Venom. Like, Ant Venom said it on his podcast, because I asked him, was because my email was the podcast name, it had the profile picture, like an actual profile picture. The way I typed out the email was really professional, really inviting. And then when he looked at my channel, we had custom thumbnails. The podcast were an hour long. We were sitting down, we were talking. There's a good sales all done. Like, if the podcast wasn't done professionally, I wouldn't expect you to come on it. And I feel like that kind of name, like Bumpy Longbow, it's a funny name. Yeah. And sorry for laughing at it. It's laughing at it because it was your past.
No, it's completely valid. It is funny.
But it comes off as in quotation marks, not professional kind of thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely, I completely agree. And I think, like, looking back on it, like, if it wouldn't have worked to keep it, like, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
But, like, because even if, like, I'd done the same amount of work and, like, had the same skills, like, I, like, you know, in, like, the first few events I did, like, when I was getting into the space, like, I wouldn't have been taken seriously by those people if I had that name. Like, it's just kind of unfortunate. It's just, I guess not unfortunate, but it's just the fact that, like, you know, how you present yourself to the public with your name or your profile picture or whatever else, like, it will very much affect, like, the work you can get.
Yeah. Because I'm going to mute this for the podcast because I don't like revealing what this is. But my old name was... And, like, it's an alright name, but I just don't think I don't think it's as good as Insane Orbits kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, I can relate to you in that kind of aspect of, like, I changed it once I actually started up content. That was my name when I was 8 or 9. That's what growing up is. Growing up is maturing your name, you know? You went to bumpyJake because it was more mature, more inviting, more professional kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
What about the profile picture then? Because as far as I'm aware, in real life, you don't have blue and red hair.
I do not. I also get asked this a lot. The context was, I don't even remember where I found it. When I was, like, started to make, like, more Minecraft, like, when in 2019 I was making, like, IRL videos, and then when COVID hit, I started going back to Minecraft, and I was playing a lot more Minecraft, so I found this random scout. I don't remember where I found it. It was literally, it's red on one side, it's blue on the other, it has, like, a cute little face in the middle, and that was literally, it's, like, solid red and blue, on both sides, and I went with that skin and I wore it for a while, and then I eventually evolved it to, like, I didn't evolve, someone else made me a skin that was, like, the same colors but, like, as the hair on a human.
Yeah.
And I went from there, and I got different skins made, then people, like, made art of, like, that, like, with that hair, and it just kind of became became the brand on its own without me even really intending it to.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Because that's once again, so what I do on the podcast sometimes is I kind of just talk to you about my experiences to show I relate, kind of thing. It's not me trying to make the podcast about myself because obviously I'm interviewing you. But, like, with my skin, for example, like, I used to have just a planet as my profile picture, and I changed it because I was like, firstly, everyone in my old community who had, like, a face as their profile picture did really, really well. So I kind of just crunched numbers. I was like, having a face clearly does better, and it did. Like, my content started to get boosted after that. Really strange. But, like, mine kind of just stems from the fact of, like, I still wanted to incorporate the planet, and I was like, I post my face online, but I always cover it. I've posted my entire body, I post pictures of me, but I always cover my face, up until when I face revealed at TwitchCon. So I was like, and even then now, like, if I post another picture of myself, I'll probably cover my face, and depending on the picture. So, like, that's why it's only, like, the eyes, because I didn't want to be like Dream where I just wear a full-on face mask. So I didn't want to copy, so I was like, what can I do here? So that's when I decided to go for the whole idea of wearing just the eyes, just covering the eyes. Basically just covering, like, in quotation marks, what, like, detects you? Is that the right wording? Do you get what I mean by that?
Yeah, I get what you mean.
What makes people recognize you? There you go. So that's fair enough. I mean, that was a nice and easy short section. What about a bit more on you getting into Minecraft then? Because you said you was doing IRL videos before like COVID hit, but what exactly got you into doing what you're doing now, the project manager, developer, working on SMPs, working on tournaments? How did you get into that field?
I always liked the idea of, like, doing, like, public events, like, even, like, when I used to do, like, IRL stuff, like, it was, like, project management of that kind, and it was always something I found fun. When COVID hit and I started, like, doing my Minecraft stuff, I was watching a lot of Skeppy videos, because that was when he was doing a lot of his events, and I was like, I could do that. I was like, I can do those kind of events, and I almost did. I never ended up doing it because I just ran out of time to do it because I got busy. But then I kind of like I always had the idea like this is something I want to do, this is something I'd find fun to do. I didn't really do anything until I started. I started a couple like friend servers. And then with a couple friends, we were like, oh, we just bought this Minecraft server. We don't have anything to do with it, so let's just like make an event. We'll invite all our friends to it. We made a few of these events where we'd like just invite friends and like we'd let them invite their friends. It was very small things, but it was a lot of fun.
Like started, right? That's how Block Wars started, give or take.
Yeah,
just inviting friends.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, because it was just like little things. Like we have like maybe like 20 people at these things. Where we just like make these little like hide and seek games, or like what else did we make? We did hide and seek. We did survival games. We did capture the flag. It's like all like these really small events that they were just for fun. And because I had that experience, like I could then like kind of use that when I went forward in my career to be like, hey, look, I've already done some events. They were very small, but like I clearly like understand what I'm doing here.
Yeah, exactly. Because a fun fact about me, once again, sorry, this might be the last one, don't worry, is I used to be a command block YouTuber for Bedrock Edition. I used to average about 50,000 to 150,000 views every single video, give or take. Depending on the video, like I was making crates, I was making everything. I was making like I made spectator mode with command blocks before spectator mode was a thing. Like
right.
I was very good at it, but I just never really pursued it further because like with you, how you kind of enjoyed it and kept it going, I just didn't. In the end, I was like, I don't want to be stuck in this kind of niche. It just wasn't for me. And I feel like if I had stuck to it, the podcast wouldn't be a thing. And like looking back on it now, I much prefer the podcast. As much as it was earning me good money. The videos were earning me really good money, and that just like goes to show I very much chose passion over money. So yeah, like,
I was always because like I said, like I was making YouTube videos back in like 2013. I made Minecraft videos and I kind of switched to doing more IRL stuff. And when COVID hit, I was like, I'm going to get back into making Minecraft videos. And it was like because the reason like I enjoyed making Minecraft videos is because I enjoyed editing. Like editing was always like a passion of mine. Like for like literally like before I even started making YouTube videos, like I'd always enjoyed like filmmaking, video editing. So like I found a lot of enjoyment in making these. I made like quite a few SMP videos. It was in, like late, I guess it was like 2021. I did like a little mini SMP series with some friends, and it was just a way for me to like channel that creativity. But like I wouldn't ever be able to go back to doing it now because it's just something that like it's very making good videos is very time consuming. Like to be able to have videos that have like a good consistent story and that like make sense. Like I was able to do it because I wasn't doing anything else. I could be very passionate about it, but like I know I definitely struggle to do it now, like balancing everything else. But it was more just a way for me to edit videos because I enjoy editing.
I mean, I was lucky just to get you here today. Like, because you're very busy. So I was lucky to even just have you on the podcast today.
Yeah, I mean, if I wasn't here right now, I'd be working.
Exactly.
And I will go back to working as soon as I'm finished with this.
So I am very fortunate, by the way. Thank you. I am very fortunate for you taking time out of your day to come on the podcast. So.
Any way to procrastinate, I'll take it.
Fair enough. Yeah. Is that all I am to is procrastination? Wow. Wow, bumpyJake.
I didn't mean it.
No, you're good. That's the same with me. Like I kind of just I don't know what it was. I guess it's just YouTube changing, but I kind of just lost passion for the like main channel, and I love the podcast. It's just nice to sit down and talk to a different person every single week, and like and because everyone has their own stories. Like you have your own story, and it's nice listening to it. And then I'll go and start tonight editing it, or tomorrow edit it, have it uploaded, all that kind of jazz. So kind of like with you, how you're constantly working, like I'll go after this and start editing this podcast kind of thing. So
yeah, exactly.
I guess then, unless you have anything more to say about how you kind of got into like making events and stuff, we can start looking at specific events you've worked on.
Yeah, I mean, I can like because it kind of like links to it, but the way I got into like doing like not mainstream isn't the right word, but like got into doing like actual events in the community.
Yeah,
is I applied for mod in like my friend Will's Discord. I didn't know him. I just applied for mod because I was like, why not? And because he was quite big in the event space at the time, and so he was doing events in his community Discord, and I was like, oh, I can help. And then because of that, we kind of like started working together on stuff, and that's what kind of pushed me forward to the point where like I'm like we still work on stuff together, but like it's because he gave me the opportunity to work on his projects with him, so I could gain experience, I could gain a reputation. I was able to then kind of expand and like go out and do my own thing, just like because of that.
Everyone starts from somewhere. You start there, you build your way up, and like who knows, one day. I mean, has there ever been an interest of yours of hopefully working on MCC one day?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think anyone who works in the event space would want to work on MCC. It's you know, I'm not counting on it. I'd very much like to though. I've applied in the past.
Yeah, I mean, it's something hard like to get into, but I mean, we're gonna talk about it a bit later on. But you're working for Block Wars, which is also a really, really big tournament as well. So
yeah, Block Wars.
But that's something we'll touch on in a little bit. With that being said, then, so you sent me maybe about 25. You sent me over 25 events because that's where the tweet came from. I counted through them. So you sent me over 25. However, I've picked out 6 specific ones that either I know of or just the name caught my eye to talk about. So we're just going to run through them. You don't have to go into too much depth because I imagine you probably can't go into too much depth for most of them. But I just kind of want to hear about your experience, or maybe like if something cool happened, do you remember that kind of jazz, you know? So the first one comes from one that you've started working on recently, being MC Wipeout. So how did that
well, I actually didn't start working on it recently. MC Wipeout's been a thing since April of last year.
Yeah, but then
and I've been working on it since the very start.
Oh,
it's
have you?
become
Oh, my bad. Yeah. Sorry, I thought it was quite new to MC Wipeout.
No, so when Jay was starting on it, he DM'd me. I just like out of nowhere asked me like for advice. I ended up joining and starting working on it. I was kind of just doing advisory stuff. I helped out a bit with like server setup. I ended up running a lot of like the first season events. The first season was like a complete mess because Jay was kind of it was a new thing. Jay was busy and also didn't really know what he was doing. Like I'm sure he'll listen to this, but like he didn't really know what he was doing. And I was also busy, so I couldn't always help. But I ended up having to do a lot of the management myself. So it was a bit of a mess, but we learned a lot from it. So then when we went into season 2, we kind of like we both put a lot more focus into it, into like the planning and like exactly like what we wanted it to be. And now going into season 3, I'm taking a much more leadership role. Like I was in season 2 as well, but now I'm listed as a co-owner. I do a lot of the team management. I do a lot of server admin. I'm doing some of the development now as well. I help with Jay with the marketing too. I write a lot of the tweets. So it's it's a very big project to work on. The scale of it is like it's completely different to any other event I've worked on because of like the scale of it. Like we have over like 250 creators this season, so it's a completely different scale.
And it's the idea as well, right? The idea of it's just different to your normal tournament as well.
Yeah, it's not your like mini game tournament. Like you really don't see events that are like this. Like because this is a completely movement based event. Like there's no PvP involved. Like there's nothing like that. Like it's a movement based. It's not parkour, but it's a movement based event.
But it is still partially parkour.
In teams. It's partially parkour, but it's a movement based event, which really like it's. I guess it kind of is one of a kind. Like there really haven't been many events that are like that, which I think is why it's probably done as well as it has.
Yeah.
Because it's such a unique thing compared to all the other events that are being ran, including by me.
Something different to see.
Yeah.
This isn't me trying to swindle my way in because I have contact with Jay. I've already talked to Jay about this season. I talked to Jay about being in this season, but then I was too late to like kind of asking. So it isn't me trying to swindle my way in, but this is like something I'd like to plan in the future, which I feel like I can. I feel like I can stand a chance of being in the future maybe. But like it's also just really fun to watch. I remember watching back VODs of like when I started getting into this community and I found out about Savage Lord. I remember watching Savage Lord's performance in it, and then there was also the viewer one as well. I didn't watch it, I didn't play in it either, but there was a viewer one that happened fairly recently as well. We've kind of found that the format of the event makes it very easy to like run for the public as well as private, because the only thing we have to do because if I could go run a public event on it right now, because all I have to do is flip a switch and make it so it's not Teams mode anymore. Like it's built in a way where it works completely the same if it's solo, and it's also worked quite well in our favor because in terms of marketing, people get to watch their creators play in these events and then play in them themselves, and it works a lot in our favor because we've built quite a big community out of it. We average like 130 people in every community event, so it's obviously it's something that's very hard to do and like to replicate for a lot of different events. But because of like the simplicity of like the format of the event, it's very easy to do. Yeah, exactly, and that's what makes it so different and so cool. It's like you can, as we mentioned, include viewers in it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, any other experience with Wipeout then? Other than like kind of your thoughts on it, have you ever had like a funny moment that you can think of, or just like I said, because we're going through so many tournaments, it's kind of just like brief kind of chats about them, kind of thing.
Yeah,
if that's okay with you.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course. I mean, there's been a lot of good moments with Wipeout. I think I can't really be able to like pinpoint one moment, but like I think what I said this quite recently in the creator Discord for it. Like it's one of those most like I guess rewarding is the right way. It's one of the most rewarding events I get to do because of the scope of it, the way we format it, we're able to include so many more people. We have big creators in it, but we also have a lot of small creators in it. Because of the nature of the qualifiers, we get to include a lot of people from different time zones that wouldn't be able to make a regular event time. So I'm very glad to be working on it because it's such a unique thing. It's such a unique event, and the way we've been able to like make it succeed, I think I'm proud of like how it's come, and I think it's definitely something I'd like to see more events of in the future. Rather, because I feel like a lot of events right now are kind of I could go on about that for hours, but like there's a lot of events that are the same, so I think it's gonna be fair to make one that's more unique.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So the next one I want to talk about then is Pride Games. So this is one that I somewhat got to play in. Not every single one, but I got to play in the one that you open up to the public. And I'm not sure if you know this, you probably don't. I've only been in this community since March, so I've not really been here for like the old stuff. So I think there's been previous Pride Games. Not sure if you've ever worked on one before, which I think you have. But like I only know really this year's one, so this is the one I could talk about. But I watched it. There was so I played in the hide and seek. There was a capture the flag, and there was a lockout. No, it was on lockout. It was just bingo, right?
Yeah, it's just it's speedrun bingo. It's kind of like
That's
lockout,
one, yeah.
but like it's also it's not. I call it bingo, but it's not bingo. Like it's just get the list of achievements. Like there's no bingo isn't involved in it at all. I just call it that.
Yeah, but I mean, just for the sake of it, bingo makes our life a little bit easier.
Yeah,
anyways.
yeah, exactly.
So yeah, with so the first one was capture the flag. So have you worked on previous Pride Games, or was that your first?
So Pride Games has been running between Dotwave and Caboodle. It ran in 2021, which I was involved in because I didn't know anyone back then, and then it ran in 2022. I was involved in 2022. What happened was because the collaboration between Caboodle and Dotwave was kind of like Dotwave would like help produce it, and Caboodle would like organize it, but Dotwave didn't have any developers available. So Caboodle had tweeted being like, "Hey, are there any like servers or developers that would be able to help us?" And I replied, and then I got a DM from her, and I ended up. What I ended up doing for that one is I was kind of like thrown in and was like, we have 3 weeks to make this event, and they told me what they wanted, and I was like, we cannot do this in 3 weeks. I'm sorry. So I came up with the speedrun bingo game. It was actually an idea I came up randomly with at 4 a.m. when I was in a call with them.
Was this 2022 or 2023? Sorry.
This was 2022.
Got you. Okay.
I came up with the speedrun bingo game like literally randomly in a call. I was like, look, this is easy. It doesn't require much work. It's a good way to get donations. So we can do it like this. And then I went through. I did all the concepting for it. I brought in some friends to help with the building. One of the Dotwave artists did all the models. I had to develop the whole thing, and I was not good at development back then. So it was a bit of a shit show. But it worked. It was very stressful because it was my first event of that scale I'd ever worked on. It was my first event I'd done with bigger creators in it. It was really it was a completely different experience. And there were some organizational challenges that I kind of had to deal with as well, like to do with the players and the graphics and stuff that I ended up having to do a lot of it too. But then this year's one I had a lot more control over. I started working on it in May, the beginning of May, and it went, I had full control, so it was a lot better.
So each game then, so a question, and I mean, I feel like the answer is really, really obvious, but I'm going to ask anyways. Was every single person who played in the capture the flag and the bingo, were they all part of the LGBTQ community or no? Yeah,
it was something we actually kind of went back and forth on a bit for this year, of whether we wanted to do it differently, but we had that was how it ends up being. It's all LGBTQ people. Obviously it's a very big community, so we were able to get a lot of people. It's not hard to find 100 gay people, funnily enough, on Minecraft Twitter. So yeah.
because I mean, I'm not sure if this was unintentional, but I'm straight. I'm not part of the LGBT. I'm a big supporter of the LGBTQ community. I mean, right now I'm still wearing my Pride skin. My Discord, main Discord, like the actual Discord itself, not profile. That Discord like picture is still Pride. Like I still just have the flag at the back of the profile because I've just never really changed it. However, I played in the hide and seek one, but I'm not part of the LGBT. So was that meant to be only LGBT as well? Or was that one more open?
No, that was so like when I started planning this year's one, I was like, I know we're gonna do creative events because that's how we get donations, but I also want to do like a public event, because being able to get the public in it is obviously a lot of fun. So the public event was a redo of an event we made in January. So Block Hunt was an event we made back in January when Dotwave and EVNT merged. It was a big project between a lot of creatives. I didn't lead it. I was in the management for it though, and we basically said this is an easy event that we can run. We know it all works perfectly. People can play in teams, people can play in solos. It's fun. We can just give a bit of a Pride overlay, and then run it in the public. It worked completely well. It worked the same way we did when we did it back in January, except it was fully open to everyone. And it was a lot of fun.
Because I have a very funny clip. Because I got to play in the second one on a Sunday, I believe it was, day 2. I'm not sure if you remember the clip of me going into the Among Us room and just killing everyone.
I think I saw that. Yeah, the Among Us was a fan favorite in that game.
So funny. And then it goes to like the cinema room, because I was gonna make a video, but I just never got around to it. And we go into the cinema room and everyone's just like throwing tomatoes at me and booing me in their voice calls. Oh, it was so funny. It was such a good event.
It was great.
Because I made a tweet about it at the time as well, for Pride Games, and I made a tweet. I was like, why do all the cool events have to be like during Pride? Like as a joke. This was very very /J. By the way, I want to be clear with this. I was like, why do all the cool events have to be during Pride when I can't compete? Because obviously they were Pride only events. Because that bingo one was so fun, and even the capture the flag one, I was like, curse me. But it was really fun to watch. I donated as well. I donated during the capture the flag one, and I donated because I played in Minecraft Mania Pride as well, and I donated during that. So I'm a big supporter. So it's like, that's why it's very. That's why I'm reiterating it's very /J. Like I wasn't actually intentionally being toxic. Yeah, no, of course. It's just like when these cool events come out, and I'm like, I'm missing out, but it's cool nonetheless. But that must have been fun to work on as well. Then that event.
It was. This year's was definitely good because all 3 events were redos of old events. But it was Capture the Flag. So we did an event for X Games back in January.
Okay.
It was an X Games tournament, and it was live on the X Games channels. We had like a clip of it played on ESPN during that as well, which was funny. We kind of had to modify a lot because that was a 5v5 tournament, and Capture the Flag was one of the games. And I originally was going to do like a mega Capture the Flag as a public event, and then I realized that would be really, really bad.
Bit scuffed, yeah.
So what I did is I upped it to, what did we do? We did 4 teams of 6 across 2 days. So I basically worked with our developer very closely to update it we upped the team amount. We had a brand new map built, which looked really cool. We had a bunch of new abilities added as well because obviously redoing a game, you'll learn a lot from the first time you've run it, like what issues there were. So we kind of used the opportunity to build upon the original game and make it better, like improve some of like the game design issues that we had in the first version. And we implemented a new donation system as well, which was really good. And then Speedrun Bingo was also a redo because obviously I did it the previous year in 2022, but I also did it. We did another charity event for the charity Life Pack back in February. It was the exact same format, 100 creators. We had a lot of big creators in that one. And because I recoded that entire event from scratch, I basically just reused all that code for Pride Games and just added all the Pride features. And then BlockCon was also redo. So it was a lot of fun because it was all a big redo. So we didn't have to code any, obviously we had to write new code, but we didn't have to design any new games completely. So we kind of got to have a lot of fun with the Pride theming and come up with cool Pride cosmetics, like the gay bomb, for example, which was funny. Then the gay was, yeah. We got to have fun with we got to have fun with sitting down what can we put into these games that we already have that make it funny for Pride. We had on Speedrun Bingo and Capture the Flag, we had a donation thing where you could donate and it would make that player's crosshair an Among Us, which I thought was quite funny. We had a couple. We had like we had something like you could make rainbows in the sky. We had unicorns. Like it was just like coming up using this theme and these fixed games to just kind of make them more fun, make them funny. And it was honestly, it was really fun. Yeah, exactly. Just silly goofy. It was really fun, and everyone really enjoyed it. And we raised a lot of money. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Not one of the events I have wrote down. I don't want to get into. I don't really want to get into this one too much because otherwise we'll be here forever talking about all the events you've been in. But I also played in the Disneyland hide and seek recently as well, which is pretty cool. I came quite close to winning it actually on the second turn, which I don't know how they saw me in that tree. I don't know how they saw me there, but they saw me in the tree. So you know I won't get into it. But that was fun as well. Like just the hide and seek events are quite cool. I love to like playing some more. And once again, this isn't me trying to like turn around and be like, yeah, Jake, hint. I'm just saying like in general, like in the future. Cool with like. I mean, the good thing about the Disneyland hide and seek events is that it really is. It's so minimal effort on my end that like I can like so for context, because I know the Imagine Fun owners, me and Will have been working with them for a while. So it is literally just a case of me saying, hey, when are you guys around so we can host an event on your server? I just go in. Like everyone wants to participate, so it's really easy to get a bunch of creators. We ended up with more than 100 last time. And it's something I'm trying to do it like every 6 months roughly. So probably another one in January. Because hide and seek is a very good event format because it's a good format because people get to just kind of have fun and chill with their friends. And it's also competitive. I will say this in hide and seek, the way we have been doing it, I am improving upon because right now if you get caught, you're just a spectator, which is really bad if you get caught in like the first minute and you have to spectate for half an hour. But I'm talking to the Imagine Fun people. We're going to switch it up for next time because obviously the priority is content. I want people to be able to have fun but also have good content. Yeah, exactly.
So I'm definitely going to be working on that to make it better because hide and seek is really only fun if you're doing something the whole time. Yeah. Because otherwise you're just kind of sit there spectating for ages.
Yeah, which is unideal. I mean, I guess just an idea, and I don't know if this would even work or if it's even a good idea. I've literally just thought of it. And maybe just have people come back as ghost hiders where they can continue hiding, but they don't get the win. And they're hunted by ghost hunters. I don't know. It's just not throwing an idea out there. It's not
like a terrible idea, but I think the issue is that like if people are like, oh well, I can hide, but it won't make any impact to the game whatsoever. People will just not. It'll be the same as spectating for people really, because they can't be seen, they can't be caught. So making people see, because like it's not the most ideal solution, but it's definitely the best one. And it lets people still have fun. It lets people continue to like make content.
Yeah.
And also seeking is quite fun because I've been seeking in the last couple times we've done this event.
I seeked the bonus pride hide and seek. I seeked in that. That's when I killed all the Among Us.
Seeking is definitely still fun. So I think that's definitely the most ideal solution for that type of event.
That's fair. Yeah, I was just curious on the idea of it. Because I mean, luckily enough, I mean I've already interacted with them. I mean I have on Twitter with one of them, but I actually kind of interacted with more creators that event as well. One of them being Olive Hoodie, who I've interacted with before, but just more so in that event, which was pretty cool. Just having a laugh with people, kind of meeting new people is always quite nice. So the next one then that you sent me, one of the ones that you sent me, and it really caught my eye. Okay, because what MC Prom? What is that?
Okay, so MC Prom was not originally created by me. MC Prom was created by two event organizers, Argon and Will. They created that event in 2021.
Oh, I know Argon.
Because they were both like the main event organizers in the scene at the time. So they came up with MC Prom. They ran it, I think it was in June of 2021, and it was a big success. Everyone had loads of fun. And I wasn't the creator at the time, so I had nothing to do with it. But when I was like becoming closer with Will, Will jammed me into a call with Argon at one point and was like, let's plan MC Prom 2. And we did, and when Argon made his own studio, Argon made Button Studios in the beginning of that year, and he invited me to it so we could work on MC Prom, and it was basically a big creative team, and one developer, Paul Marcus. We concepted MC Prom, we came up with a bunch of new games, a bunch of new features.
What is it? What is MC Prom? Sorry, that's
MC Prom.
Not to cut you off.
MC Prom is a big social event. It's an event where we have games, we have passive mini games, we have active mini games, we have live performances, cosmetics. Like it's basically just a big like 2-hour event where everyone can come in, they get to hang out with friends, they get to play the games, they get to listen to the music.
Oh, so it's not role-playing a prom.
No, it's just a big social event, and it's really fun.
Actual prom.
No, it's a big social event where everyone gets to come in, play games, have fun, like hang out with their friends. Like it was really cool to see because I think we invited like 150 people. I think 100 showed up, and like seeing everyone just kind of like mingle in their friends group and then going like into other VCs and talking to people. Like it was just everyone just there having a good time. And everyone seemed to really like it. It was a lot of fun.
Is there going to be so what were some of the games then?
So we had hide and seek. We obviously, because that was a very basic one. We had block party, from the old Hive game. We had what else did we have? We had a crafting minigame, which I still don't know. I don't really know why we had that, because it really made no sense. It was just but it was fun. We originally had like a tag game, but I think we cut it because it wasn't very fun. We had a big PvP battle. It was like a duos PvP battle. So it was like the royal deathmatch, and the people that won became the prom royalty. We chicken fight. We did that too. Where everyone just like goes on. You sit on your duo's head, and you have to like be the last duo standing. That was a lot of fun. And we had passive minigames too, because basically how the format is we open the server like 20 minutes, then we had the performances, and then we'd have a minigame and then a 5-minute break between each minigame. So in between the minigames, there were passive minigames. We had dunk tank, we had parkour, we had a scavenger hunt. Just like lots of little things for people to do. Like there was a cosmetic room, there was a place where you can get food. So it's just it was a really good example of utilizing Minecraft to create an experience, not just like a competitive event, but to create a full experience where like we modified the sky to make it really look like you were in space on the moon. Like we had these cool party effects and like on the dance floor. We had I think we had like 150 custom models.
You went all out.
It was, we went all out, and it was on a pretty small budget as well. I'm not gonna say the number, but it was pretty small.
Yeah.
But it's really, I think, one of like the best examples still to this day of creating a full experience in Minecraft, and it's one we're definitely gonna do it. I don't know when I'm gonna do it again, because obviously, you need money to do these things.
Yeah.
But it's something everyone enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed it. It was the most stressful thing ever. Because at the time, because it's basically how it worked was Will wasn't really involved this time because he was doing other things. So it was me and Argon were leading it. Jordan was kind of like overseeing it, because Dotwave kind of like we kind of like sold it technically to Dotwave, because they funded it along with Jellybean, who was also the host. But Argon was also busy with his other job at the time, so I basically managed the entire thing solo, like the entire team, like all the development. I ran all the tests. I had to fix all the bugs on the server. But it was a really good experience. It helped me learn a lot, and overall, like I said, it's a very unique event, and it's a really good experience, I think.
That's fair enough, yeah. So I know I'm not really leaving too much of like an input on these. It's just because I just more just wanted to hear about them. These specific ones, just hearing about your experience with them. And like, I'm not really an event coder myself. I haven't played in many events. I'm playing in Mayhem at the end of the month, which is pretty cool. And I've played in Mania. Obviously, I played in some of your events, which I mentioned. Hopefully, one day MC Wipeout and stuff like that. But like, because it's more just me hearing these and asking questions when I have questions, because I don't actually know what these are, kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I could talk about these events for hours, really, because like MC Pong was such like a good chunk of my summer.
Yeah.
It pretty much was my summer. I remember like I think I was in like somewhere in Europe during the summer, and like just like sitting outside trying to like work on MC Prom, like get like work on the server, like debug stuff with the team while I was away. And it's like
to the beach today. All right, let me just bring my laptop.
No, genuinely, like that is what that was for me. But it was a lot of fun. I got to like work with a lot of new people. That was the first time I worked with Marcus. He's a very talented developer. We worked in MC Farm together, and then we worked on a lot of Dotwave and EVNT events together. I've learned a lot from him. He's one of my closest friends, and he's a very talented developer. And like working on, like I got to work with like a lot of talented artists on it as well, and it was very fun. I do remember one funny moment from it is like on like the last few days leading up to the event, I like projected a countdown on my wall to when MC Pong would start. So I felt like the pressure ticking down. I was trying to like fix all like the bugs and like make sure everything was working properly.
That's class. So good. You're just sitting there looking at your wall. Crap, only 2 days left. It's just right above your head in bright red.
Yeah, exactly. It was really fun. If you're an event organizer, really pressure yourself by like constantly having a big countdown looming over you.
Well, can't relate with like the countdown idea, but like one podcast, I originally recorded it with someone, and then that podcast never went out for reasons I won't get into. But like I ended up recording one of the podcasts on the Wednesday, and the podcast was due to come out on the Friday. So the entirety of Thursday, it was quite convenient because on my way to work I slipped and injured my back, which was convenient because like work didn't want me at work, so they made me stay at home. So I spent the entirety of Thursday editing the podcast from like 7 a.m. in the morning until getting it just done until like 7 p.m. at night, because I also had to do other stuff during the day throughout, and then I ended up getting that podcast uploaded the next day. So it's kind of like that, like with the whole pressure thing. So because I didn't miss a week, I literally said I found someone last minute. It was Bertha Darling. I was like to her, "Yep. Are you down? Like, I know you're meant to be coming on next month, but let's move you forward to Wednesday." This was on a Monday. And she's like, "Great, okay." Announce her on the Monday or something like that. Record on the Wednesday, upload on the Friday. So, you know, that's the kind of pressure aspect of being able to relate.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I remember for Pride Games this year, I am because even though we started work early, we kind of couldn't do a lot until quite close to the time. So like every single day I'd be like running tests, and then I'd go back to Marcus and we'd fix a load of bugs, and then we'd run another test the next day, and it was just like every single day was like just constantly working on it. It was a very big project, and MC Prong was the same. It was me basically waking up and spending most of the day just on the server, just going around and fixing little things and like coding a couple last minute things, and like making sure like the performers were ready, and making sure we had all the creators in and the art was done, and that we had all the tweets scheduled and all the marketing and the videos were edited. Like it's a very big project. But like it was a good experience for me because I've done a lot of bigger projects now in like the last year since we did that event. So yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, so we're getting into the last three now. And then we'll move on from like the events topic. So this is one that I'm a bit more familiar with, just the idea of it really more, not what you've done with it. Because I'm not even sure if you've done Minecraft with this. Looking at the names, I'm quite curious. Is Twitch Rivals? So what you sent me is you worked on 3 different Twitch Rivals. So I've kind of just categorized it all as like one singular Twitch rival. Was this Minecraft?
Yeah, all 3 of these were Minecraft.
Oh god, the name just does not imply Minecraft to me, anyways. The names you gave me were. Fellowship of Twitch, Ringcraft, I guess that's Minecraft, and Nyana's Longest Aliver. I feel like I've said those wrong.
They were all Minecraft. So the first 2 were Lord of the Rings based events, because the new Amazon Lord of the Rings series, Amazon Prime Lord of the Rings series, I think was coming out around that time. So we made 2 events. They were completely unrelated from each other. One of them, it was, I don't even fully remember what the context of it was. So Fellowship of the Twitch was like this big walkthrough experience where like there were multiple challenges they'd have to do along the way to like complete the end goal. I'm sure it was related to the Lord of the Rings story. I've never seen it, so I couldn't really tell you. But it was this really long walkthrough thing that these creators played. It was like this. It wasn't really that. Okay, technically that one wasn't Twitch Rivals. That was like a Twitch marketing or something. It was like related to TwitchCon. Like they played it like on the way to TwitchCon or something like that.
Okay.
And Ringcraft was a Twitch Rivals event. It was like this big mini game event. It was multiple mini games based on Lord of the Rings. Again, that was one where I can't really talk about this too much. But we basically had like we had a very limited time to make all of like these games and like work with resources we had. Also, it was an entirely Spanish event, and we had like 2 Spanish speaking people on our team, so that was fun.
Yeah.
So we had to kind of figure out that, but it was a lot of fun. It was very stressful, but that was a fun event when it worked. It was a little bit scuffed because we had so little time. But then Nyana's Longest Aliver. So Nyana, so I don't know if you've ever seen the TV show Survivor, but it's based on that.
I see. I'm not really good with names. I've probably seen it, but just don't remember it, kind of thing.
It's basically you have like 3 tribes on this island, and they have to like compete in challenges. And like, and then at the end of a challenge, they basically vote someone out to be kicked off the island.
Yes.
I think I've never seen it. I've never seen that be real. But so what I know this event as Survivor because that was our working title. But the official name, it was Nyana's Longest Aliver featuring Minecraft. Nyana's is a big VTuber creator, so she was like the host. She was like the host of it.
Got you.
And we had a bunch of VTubers in it. It was like 18 creators, I think. And there's basically them competing in a bunch of mini games on this big island. And then at the end of each mini game, the tribes would go into voting, and they'd vote someone off. And then we'd merge the tribes, and then it would basically keep going until there was only one person left. We had like a big final vote. That I think is definitely one of my favorite events we've ever done. It was because we went really hard on the theming for it. Like we had like over 250 models, I think, like to create this like big island set. It was very well themed. We had like custom sounds for it. We had all like this cool art made. And all the minigames were fun. And the creators like had so much fun in it. like if you watch the VODs back, like they all just really enjoyed it. The games were really fun, and it was also like I think a big aspect of that event was kind of the social part of it because we had voice chat on it. So in between games, they'd be going around and like talking to each other because they had to vote people out. So it became very personal.
It led to a lot of like, it's kind of like I don't know if you watch much Mr. Beast, but the when he got like the ages 1 through 100 in the boxes,
yeah,
like people started making personal like enemies, and then they got voted out because of it, all that kind of jazz. So
yeah, exactly. It was like that.
Making a comparison, like people who might not get the idea, it's like Mr. Beast.
Yeah,
for that video.
Yeah. No, but it is though, and I think it was really interesting because we ran a load of tests for this event, obviously leading up to it, and like when we'd get to like the part of the test, we're like, okay, we need to vote someone out. I would literally just be like, okay, everyone just like pick someone to vote out, or I'm just gonna pick someone, and so we can move on with the test. But then when we get to the event, and all these creators, like some of them know each other, some of them don't, but they've spent like the last, because it was a 3-day event, so they spend all this time together, like playing these games together and hanging out, and then they get to the point where they have to actually vote someone out, and it becomes actually very emotional because they've formed these like connections with each other, and they've made these bonds, and they've had, and now they have to like kick someone out, and so it's like, it was very sad, but it was very interesting to like see the difference between the testers and the creators. And honestly, I still think it's like one of the best events we've ever done. I think I really hope we do a season 2 one day because it was just a really fun event, and all the games were really fun. They were made to like be not made for Minecraft pros because most of these people didn't really play Minecraft, but the games were all still a lot of fun, and I'm glad we did it like that. But yeah, it was very good.
From when this podcast is coming out, as I mentioned at the start, last week's podcast would have been like an SMP one. On it, me and AJX talk about how, like, you know, a lot of fans, and I was very open in saying this, like a lot of fans or viewers sometimes can't separate the character with like the creator kind of thing. Like they can't sometimes like we was kind of using Dream SMP as an example, where like a lot of people would get annoyed at like certain people the way they treated Tommy in the Dream SMP, but like that was the character and the creator being different people, and they didn't actually hate Tommy in real life. So it's like you had to kind of, I assume with this, you had to get creators in this who wouldn't take it personally. Like if they formed a connection and got voted out, they'd be able to separate the content and the character, or the content and the person. Sorry, if that makes any sense. Like if like say like me and you are playing, right, and we form this massive bond, and then you turn around and you vote me out. That doesn't mean you hate my guts or don't want to talk to me anymore. Outside of content, it's just content and creator being separated.
Yeah, and like they all know. Like I'll be real, I didn't know. I think the only creator I like knew who they were in this event was CPK. I didn't know anyone else who was in this event.
Oh, CPK wasn't it? Cool.
Yeah, it was funny. It was CPK and a bunch of VTubers. I don't really know why. It was funny, but like. Yeah, but I didn't know any of these creators, but I think it was kind of like, I think a lot of them knew each other. But even so, like I think most people kind of get the distinction that, like, you know, when someone voted someone else off, like it wasn't them hating them, and the creators obviously know that. But I feel like the community's like, I feel like for the most part people get it. I think if they don't, like it's I don't know. Yeah, exactly. It's a very small group, but like for the most, like it went very smoothly, and like people. Yeah, at the end of the day, it's for content. So people did what they had to do for content.
But we've kind of brushed over the whole fact that this is Twitch rivals, by the way. Like, this is you've worked with Twitch rivals. That's, like, despite what it is, that must be crazy, like, working with that, you know? Like, especially for the CV, like, you turn around and, yeah, I've worked with Twitch rivals 3 times. You know, no biggie. You know, like, how is that? Definitely. How is working with Twitch rivals in general, not just the events, but just the idea of it? How is that?
It was kind of different on like the different events we worked on, because like we like between different events we ended up working with like different broadcast teams. Honestly it's a good experience because you're working with people. Like I think the difference between doing a Twitch Rivals and doing like a regular event is that you like we're for Twitch Rivals, like for Vincraft for example, we were handed a detailed documentation of like, these are all the games and this is what we have to do, which obviously makes it a lot easier. With Survivor we had more creative input, but I think overall working on Twitch Rivals is kind of like it's a lot stricter, I think, is one thing. Like at the end of the day, it's a broadcast. They have a strict schedule they need to stick to. They have places where obviously they have to do like sponsorship reads and stuff like that. There's like certain guidelines you have to adhere to make sure like sponsors don't get angry and stuff like that. That's the same with any kind of marketing, obviously. So working on Twitch Rivals is a lot stricter. But it's a good opportunity to meet people and to make these kind of, like you said, like, you know, very good for the CV. Like I put on my CV, like, I've worked with Twitch, I've worked with Lenovo, I've worked with X Games.
It's crazy.
Because honestly, but At the end of the day, working on a Twitch Rivals event really isn't, like, at least in the leading up to the event, the workflow really isn't too different from working on a regular event, because we still have to, get all, like, the documentation done and code all the games and do all the art. Like, and then, like, the only difference really is that, like, at the end of the day, we'll get into a call with the client and then just show them what it is. But even that we would do with a lot of other activations.
I'm more just touching on the idea of it just being Twitch Rivals, you know?
Yeah, no, yeah, completely. But like, at the end of the, like, for me, like, the Nana's Longest Live was one of my favorite events. Not because it was Twitch Rivals, just because it was a good event. Like, I would have enjoyed that event if we hadn't done it with Twitch. But doing it with Twitch is definitely like, it has its pros and cons, but it's very cool. Yeah. I do agree.
So one of the final two is a pretty big one, and probably I wouldn't say it's the biggest one you've worked on because I can't judge that, but out of the ones like I know it, to me, name wise, it's the biggest one. Block Wars. So once again, this isn't from you, I'm saying just name wise from what I've seen, I judge like Block Wars as one of the bigger ones, because it is technically the biggest.
It definitely is. Yeah.
What exactly do you do with Block Wars then? What's your impact there?
I am a video editor for Block Wars, so I do the I've done some of the highlights for them. I did like a couple of the announcement videos because obviously Block Wars is on break right now, so it's kind of just preparing for the next season or like when we come back from break. But it's kind of funny because like out of all the events I've worked on, Block Wars is probably the event I do the least on. Like I always like everyone in there is really great, and it's a lot of fun to be a part of. It's a very big event. It's a very large scale, like the production behind it. Which is why I'm not a developer on it, because I'm nowhere near talented enough to work with on the power of the devs over at Block Wars. That they're built very different. I'll say that.
I thought you worked on it. That's shocking to me. Like I guess like I just said, it's like one of the biggest name ones, and it's the only one that you don't actually work as a dev on. You don't do do the code or anything. It's still cool what you do, by the way. I'm not trying to know what you do. It's just every single time we talked about you've done like dev work on it, and then the one event where I'm like, oh yeah, this is the biggest name one I know. It's like, oh yeah, I just edit the videos.
Yeah, I mean, you see that. I mean, to be fair, like MC Prom, I did a very small amount of coding on. Pride Games, I did about half the coding on. Survivor, I didn't do any coding on, but I did all the server admin for it.
Got you, yeah.
Oh, so all the Twitch Rivals events, that is. I did the server admin for that. I didn't code any of that.
But I mean, you still had an
X
impact.
Games, I didn't code for.
Is what I mean.
Block Wars is for kind of funny. That is like the biggest thing I work on, but it is the one I have the smallest impact on.
No, you still have a big impact editing the videos, like because
I do the
videos, yeah.
I haven't done any of the update videos. I did the Patreon announcement. No, I did the Patreon announcement video. I did the Pride charity announcement video.
But that's still a big like impact though.
Impact was the wrong word. Like, it's the least amount of work I do on any project. Like compared to Pride Games, where I coded half of the event and I did all of the marketing and the creative design and I got all the creators and I made the disc. Like, compared to that, like, I do very minimal work on Block Wars, but it's a good thing to be a part of, and everyone there is really nice, and it's like fun. Like like I'll always like chime in if I ever like have a thought on a discussion that's being had. But it's. I just feel like it's the second. It's the second biggest event realistically. And it's a very good event. I think a lot of if you look at it from the surface, a lot of people may not realize, but like the work that goes on behind the scenes is like a lot more than you would think.
I can imagine.
Like it's like like obviously when Block Wars started, it was like a few friends just like having fun, and it's grown to like it's this full massive production now with like the development work behind it is insane, and then like they get all the game designs, like everything is so thought out, everything is so organized, like it's really like it's on a different level to a lot of the events like even like I run myself in terms of like the organization. Like it's and also you'll consider that everyone that works with Block Wars is volunteer, so everyone is
paid for it kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly, which I think is even more impressive about it, because you look at Pride Games and like most people on Pride Games were paid like a decent amount, like the Twitch Rivals, everyone was paid, but then like Block Wars is really at like the same level to those, but everyone does it volunteer, which I think is is one of the like really awesome things about it.
Yeah, which is nice to see as well, like because it's passion, isn't it? If they're doing it for free, it's like I'm not saying the people who got paid for like Pride Games and stuff didn't put passion into it, because you can see they put passion into it. But Block Wars is only passion, because you're voluntarily doing it. You're not getting paid for it. You are choosing to do that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And then, I do obviously like I said, I volunteer on a lot of projects. Like a lot of the events I work on for free. just out of passion. Like Pride games, all of Pride games I did for free. I didn't get paid for Pride games. But like it's something I enjoy. Like it's the work I enjoy doing that work. It's a very fun experience for me. Obviously the only downside is that when I have money, I can't do my own things, which is obviously why I'm opening up commissions. But
yeah.
Like it's if I see something and I'm like, I know I will enjoy working on this event, then I'll just do it. Like there's nothing stopping me from doing it. I have the ability to, I have the time to. So like why not?
Obviously it's just nice to get a bit paid for it if you can.
Yeah, obviously. If you can pay people, absolutely pay people. I've never been in a situation where like I've been made to do work for free when I didn't want to.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, but then you just say no anyway. It's like, I guess you've never been in a position where you've been guilt tripped. There you go.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hope that's good wording for it. Me to judge it at, but that's how I'd word it anyway from me. And then the final one then for events, because I mean, I know you're not in any rush, and I'm not in any rush either, to be honest. I just don't want the podcast to drag on too long, especially like just kind of talking about experience with events. Because we've now been recording for an hour and 14 minutes. So, but I'm happy. I'm happy to obviously drain this one out a bit. I mean, the film one was over 2 hours, so it probably won't go that long. But obviously, I just want to. This is like the final one for the wrap thing, and this is one that kind of stood out to me again, like the MC Prom woman games. What? Because I know MC Wipeout did a woman only event, or like I think it was like women and non-binary event, I believe.
Yeah.
So what's woman games? Never heard of.
So that was an event. I don't know if you know who Ava JC is, but
of course I do, yeah.
Yeah, so Ava, I even remember when that event was. It was like March or something like that. Because Ava was reached out to to be on the front page of Twitch for International Women's Day. And Ava messaged me and was like, "Hey, I'm going to be on the front page of Twitch. Can we do like an event or something?" I was like, "Sure." I was like, I was working on another event at the time, and I was like, "Well, I have this code for survival games. We can just make a little survival games event, and you can invite a bunch of people to it, and we can have it just be an International Women's Day event." It really was as simple as that. Like, it wasn't a complex event at all, or like it was plain old survival games. I think we did like 3 rounds or something. We had like 50 creators, I think. It wasn't teams. It was all a free for all. We had voice chat on. It was just this big, fun, casual event to celebrate that day. And yeah,
that's quite cool, actually. It's just very small, basic one. There's already too much to talk about this one. It's just a survival game.
Yeah,
International Women's
Day. There's not too much. I think that the one thing that like stands out to me, like when I think about that event, is that there obviously like when I run events, like I'll get a lot of people being like I get a lot of good feedback on events. But I remember like specifically after this event and like looking like on Twitter and stuff and looking in Discord, like the feedback on that event was like so overwhelmingly positive. Compared to like a lot of events that I've run, like it was really, it was I don't know what the word, I guess it was really heartwarming to see. Like obviously it's a very important day, and to be able to like help run an event, but like that many people had such a good time on. Like it was, I'm very glad I got to do that event because it was very fulfilling for me at least.
Sounds quite cool, yeah, and it's a nice positive day as well. Like with the Pride Games, it's positive, it's a good day.
Yeah,
a good event for a good day. There we go. Kind of started when I said that, but you get the point. You get the idea. Fair enough. I mean, is there anything else you want to talk about on the general event topic idea? Because we're going to be moving away from it now. So.
Well, just events in general.
Well, yeah, I mean, just anything else you might want to add. Just because we're going to be moving away from talking about events. We're going to move into SMPs,
let me look at this event. The only other thing that like really stands out in terms of like events to me, I guess there was a couple we didn't obviously talk about because I brought up X Games briefly, which was cool.
Yeah.
The Bisect Game Master event is the closest like I've come to like making like an MCC style event.
Okay.
But also like we kind of didn't do it fully like that. That was an event that I wasn't. It was an event we started back in .wave before I even worked there. I had nothing to do with the event, and it was in development for months and months. And when I joined, it was still in development, and then I kind of joined on to help with some of the resource pack things, like enhance the way that it looked, and I ended up having to like do a lot of work on it. That I only bring it up because that's one of like the most stressful event experiences I've had, simply because we ran it twice. Oh, like we had a lot of tests and stuff running up to it, and the event itself ran fine. We had that's light. It ran mostly fine. We had an issue with scoring, which we ended up fixing, but
it happens, nothing ever perfect.
Yeah, but what was stressful about it is because creator sourcing for that was a nightmare. We had such a big problem like trying to get creators in, and I remember on the day of the event, I think we were sat in call for a couple hours leading up to the event. I had to change like 30 people's teams around because people would drop out. People would drop out. We had to like replace people. People were like, oh, I want to be with this person instead. So we had to switch people around. I've never had that on any other event, and it was very stressful. And the same thing happened with Game Master 2. Because it was the day after the Life Pack charity event where Life Pack charity event had the exact same thing, funnily enough, where we got to like the day of the event and we were like, oh, well, I don't have half the teams here. This is supposed to be a 100-player event. We have like 60 players. We had to go in like trying to like find people and like get people in the Discord and try to get people to make teams. We had the exact same thing. It was literally the day before we did Game Master and we did the exact same thing where we didn't have players. Like creator sourcing is definitely one of the most stressful things when it comes to an event that has like you need a set amount of players. I found like Disneyland Hide and Seek doesn't matter. I could have 50, I could have 100. It would make a difference.
Yeah.
But when it comes to a team-based event and people start dropping out, it gets very stressful, very fast. For Pride Games this year, for Speedrun Bingo, I had 18 people drop out on the day of the event. Luckily, I had a lot of backups, but that is like probably like what I find to be one of the most stressful things on events is the creators. Whether it's getting creators in or getting creators to show up, there's always some problem with it creates for the event. Like this isn't targeted at anyone specifically, but it's always something that I find to be like the most stressful part of making events is the creators.
Yeah, I mean that's why like most events these days, and as much as like the community doesn't like it, and as much as it's a broad thing to say it's true, it's why most events just kind of turn to creator events now. Like a lot of your events are like a lot of people are like, oh, like this was a community event one time, like, and it's why because in the nicest way possible. I guess this kind of like partially comes into like the idea of image as well, is creators are more, not all the time, reliable, Not in this case, you explained that as a really...
I mean, it's definitely true. Like, we ran a couple community versions of the Game Master event, which was a nightmare because doing team events in public, doing community events when it's teams is pretty much impossible because I don't know who's, like, I'm opening this up to the public, so anyone can show up. Yeah. You don't have to sign up before, you can just show up. So I don't know who's going to join, who's going to be on what team, it's because I don't have a set number. Like, Game Master is a 100-player event. We hit 100 players, and someone's like, oh, well, I wanted to team with this person, but they can't get in because we hit 100 players, but you put this random person on my team. And, like, there's no good way to do it. So I guess kind of don't, usually. Creators, like, at least with creators, like, I know this person is going to be on this team. I don't have to worry about, like, oh, well, I have 20 extra people who might show up and might want to be with these people. So at least it's like, even if people drop out, it's more structured in general, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, your kind of thing here with, like, people leaving and stuff, it doesn't really show what I mean there. But I mean, I guess, like, with blog wars and stuff, like, yeah, they sometimes have a decent amount of subs out, but for the most part, like, it's less stressful kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I definitely get that. Creators, for the most part, I will say creators are fine. I think it just is the unfortunate fact that people have emergencies come up. Like, you're never going to be able to have an event where everyone will always be there because life happens. People will get sick, people will have an emergency happen, people's power will go out. Some people just don't like showing up, which is also a thing, but a lot of time, it is unavoidable, unfortunately.
Exactly. But it sounded like a fun event. Sounded like back to the X life. It did sound really cool. You mentioned it quite a few times as well, so you clearly enjoyed it. Is that ever going to come back as an event, do you reckon, in the future, or
Game Master?
Yeah. Do you reckon it'll come back again?
I want it to, but I think the issue we ran into is that Game Master 2 and Game Master 1 were the exact same event. There were no new games, there was no gameplay changes.
Oh, yeah.
Doing a minigame style event where nothing changes doesn't really work because it gets boring. Yeah, if MCC had been running the same thing since MCC1, no one would care about it.
I mean, even MCC people, sorry to cut you off, I don't mean to. It's like before you carry on, it's like MCC, even people are saying now, because there hasn't been a new game in a while, it's a bit like, and that's MCC, like the pressure's on there now kind of thing,
Yeah, exactly. So, because after Game Master 2, Isaac was like, oh, well, I think we should run it again. And I said to them, if you run it again with no changes, it's going to fail, which I think is just the unfortunate reality, especially when the event is also a charity event. If the goal is to make money for charity and you're not doing anything to try and keep those same viewership numbers up, then it's not really going to work.
Yeah, exactly.
So I want it to come back, and I'm pushing for it to come back, but at the end of the day, it needs a lot of work on it, and work costs money. So That's really what it always comes down to.
Yeah, I get that. I guess moving on a little bit then. We're going to touch on SMPs. So once again, you mentioned a good few SMPs to me. However, there's two that I've picked out specifically. And I guess not to call the other ones smaller, it's just, I guess, picking the, in quotation marks, the bigger ones. The first one is Caboodle SMP.
Yes,
Sorry?
Caboodle SMP. So I was like, yeah, they are smaller. It is true.
Yeah. So Caboodle SMP, what? Because obviously, I mean, we can talk about SMPs all day, but like, we spent so long talking about the events alone and we only mentioned 6. So I guess that is.
Yeah.
Which isn't a problem to me. I just don't want like it to, because obviously, you know, if I just talk about SMPs and events over and over again, people like might be like, kind of just thing. But yeah, anyway, so
yeah,
Caboodle SMP. What's your impact on that then?
Caboodle SMP, I am server manager, the developer. I do marketing on it. I edit all of the cinematics. I communicate with the writers to make sure stuff's on track. I communicate with Caboodle to make sure stuff's on track. I was meant to just. I would do a lot on it. I was originally just brought on to like do a couple small plugins for it, but like I ended up growing to do so much more simply because it's like it's a pretty big production. We have a whole team of writers, a whole team of artists. We have a music team. We have me. And it's become a point where like it's a project that I find fun, so I do a lot more on it. But it also it needs a lot of work on it because. It's the way. Okay, I say this quite a lot. I don't really consider Caboodle SP to be an SMP. It's more of just like a weekly role playing thing. It's a weekly role playing event. It's the way I see it. It is an SMP.
Like Pirates, I guess, because Pirates is quite role play as well.
Well, not really though, because the difference with Pirates is that anyone can log on to Pirates and they'll be playing and they'll be doing lore. You could do that with Caboodle SMP, but no one really does. People are non to Caboodle SMP for the lore. There's a couple outliers, but for the most part, most people on the Caboodle SP, they will log on for lore and then won't log on until next week, which is fine. But I think because of that, for me, it's kind of turned to a thing where it's like I don't really see it as an SMP because
it's just like a TV show.
So yeah, pretty much. Because obviously there's improv, but like every episode is planned out and scripted. We have all these cinematics that we obviously have to write and film and edit beforehand. It's a very structured thing, which isn't a bad thing at all. But like for me, when I think of like an SMP, like it really isn't one, which is I think it's quite funny because it's the biggest one I work on.
How is it though? Like behind the scenes is because I assume this is, I could be wrong in saying this, where like a lot of your time goes is towards Caboodle SMP because it is, like you said, the biggest one you work on. So how much time a day or a week would you say you spend on working on this?
It kind of varies because realistically I don't have to do much passive work on it because like I developed a bunch of features for it at the beginning of the season. Okay. Sometimes I'll put out tweets whenever like Caboodle isn't able to, but for the most part like most of my work is on the cinematics. So if I have a cinematic that I need to make, then I guess the average one I will spend like 3 days on. I'll do it over the course of 3 days.
Yeah.
Because I have to communicate with the writers to make sure the writing's fine. I have to get the voice lines. Realistically, the process to make a cinematic takes about 2 weeks because I have to get the writing approved, then go to all the creators and get the voice lines, and put them all together, then send them to Nate, who mixes them all and does all the music, and then I go and film it, and then I have to go through all the replay shots and edit it. So it goes over. It doesn't take that much time, but it goes over such a long period of time because there's so many people involved.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But with the coding and stuff, is it so with Caboodle SMP? I know a bit about it, but I don't know loads. Is it like when you say roleplay? Is it like do you have to code a different kind of roleplay thing every single week, or is that just like come under what you did at the start?
It's more I did at the start. So it's basically there's three like factions kind of. So there's the overworld, the Nether, and the end. Each faction has its own like special power. There's some characters that have like their own specific powers, like Ashwag, for example, has a power where he can basically teleport to a void whenever he wants to, and then come back.
Oh, cool.
And Delilah Dive can shoot fire from her hands, for example. So, but like really, unless it's like an episode where it's like, okay, in this episode, this thing needs to blow up. Like development is really minimal because I just I coded all the features I needed to make, and sometimes I have to code new ones, but not really. Usually, it's most of my work on the SP goes into the videos.
Oh, okay, that's fair. Oh, so once again, it's a bit like Block Wars, where it's like one of the biggest things you work on. But nowadays, with Caboodle SMP, it's more video work. At least. Well,
yeah, I definitely I do tons more work on Caboodle SP than I do Block Wars though, because even then, like, the cinematics take a lot more time than like anything I would do on Block Wars. because they're more stylized, I guess. I also I'm there for all the streams. Like I'm in every stream. I'm always in spectator. I take all the screenshots that I post on the Twitter are all just taken by me. I just go around the spectator during the streams and just take screenshots. And like if there's like a technical problem, I'm there to fix it as well. So I'm quite hands-on with it now. I said more so than I used to be, at least.
Which is pretty cool, having that kind of impact on something like that.
Yeah, I think it's partly because as I became like more friends with Caboodle, like closer friends with her, we kind of like we'd talk more, so we'd end up working more together. So we'd collaborate more, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's become less of like Caboodle telling me like, okay, like you go do this, and be like, okay, yes, boss. It's like because we're a lot closer friends now, so the dynamic is different.
Yeah, it's more of a bond than a partnership, more of a friendship than just colleagues. There we go.
Yeah, exactly.
And then what about Lifesteal? I know you mentioned before the podcast is something a bit different, but you've worked on Lifesteal SMP. Go on. Oh my god.
Yeah, so I haven't worked on the main seasons of Lifesteal. What happened was back in January, I did a commission for Parrot X2. It was one of like his solo streams. It was like a launching 1 million fireworks, where he like had a public server that anyone could log on to, and he was launching all these fireworks. So I coded that system, and then I hit him up a few months later because I saw season 4 end. I was like, hey, if you need any development work, let me know. And he basically explained to me, so they were doing this mini series of Lifesteal called Lifesteal Assassins, where everyone got an assassin that they had to kill before the end of the session. The session was an hour and a half, and at the end of the session, if you hadn't caught the person, then you were out. And my involvement in the actual server was kind of minimal because I coded the plugin, I showed it to them, and they approved it. I did some bug fixes after the first stream. But yeah, that was pretty much it. It was a pretty simple project.
But you still got to work with Lifesteal, which is pretty cool. Yeah,
no, it's definitely like it's one of those things where like being able, if people go onto my website and they see like he's worked with Twitch Hours, he's worked with Lifesteal, like those kind of things. It's like even if my involvement was minimal, I'll still put on like I put that I worked with Carl Jacobs on my website, even though I worked on one of his videos. My involvement was so minimal that you really don't notice that it's even there unless you look closely. I still work with Carl Jacobs, so I still put it on my website because it's public. It's a good thing to show to the public. Like everyone knows who Carl Jacobs is. Everyone knows what Lifestyle SMP is.
Yeah, exactly.
So. Yeah.
I mean, it's even like now, like I can turn around and be like, oh yeah, I've interacted with bumpyJake, even if it was for like an hour and a half on the podcast or 2 hours on the podcast. I still interacted with it. I still had you on the podcast. Like if it's like when I mentioned it before, I don't use it ever to flex. I just talk about like Antvenom. Like people are like, oh crap, you had Antvenom on the podcast. I'm like, yeah. Like it's cool. Like it's cool. It's something that's out there, kind of thing. Like even if we've talked a tiny bit since I've asked them I asked if I could use some of their clips in a video, and they also helped with a main channel video that's been deleted because it's kind of crap. But like they weren't the only one, not because of them, because of me. But like it's just that kind of thing of like, yeah, I mean I have, like it wasn't long, but I still have kind of interacted with them, kind of thing.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's when people ask me like, oh, like what's the biggest creator you know, and I'll be like, oh, well I have this person added on Discord. Never spoken to them before, but like it's there.
It's in orbits, right?
Oh yeah, exactly. That's how I tell everyone I'm friends with.
Honestly, it doesn't surprise me, of course. The biggest girl using my name for clout, bumpyJake. Well,
exactly.
But yeah, exactly. It's like it's just kind of. I mean, because the thing is, it makes your CV look good as well, and employers or whatever. Just I guess like saying employers for the sake of it aren't gonna be like, oh, but you only did a little segment. They're like, oh, like that's cool. You've worked on a big name. Like if you like, it's like, oh yeah, like talking now, how I've been on the podcast with you, for example. You're like, oh yeah, I don't really do much for Block Wars. I'm like, yeah, but you still work with Block Wars. I mean, it's like the Lifesteal SMP. Oh, it was only a side project. Yeah, but you still worked with Lifesteal. Like it doesn't matter. You still did it. It's still worthy of talking about, and that's why we've talked about it. That kind of
yeah. Well, 100%, I agree.
So that's fair play. Yeah, there wasn't really much to talk about the SMP section. I just wanted to bring it up because obviously it's an interesting topic, but it wasn't.
I mean, I've worked on a lot of SMPs. Like, there's more that I've worked on that are probably on that list because I worked on a lot of like very small ones, like just with friends. The only other ones like that really like stand out on that list. Earthbound SMP was pretty known, but my involvement with that was like not massive. I did development on it, but that was about it. Christmas SMP and Originals SMP. I really the only 2 SMPs that I own. Like, I work on a lot of SMPs, but those are the 2 ones I actually own.
You own SMPs? Oh, God. Okay. But, yeah, go on, talk about that a little bit then. I didn't know you owned an SMP. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because they're seasonal SMPs, realistically. neither of them are running right now. But those are two SMPs, like, I co-own them with other people. I run a lot of SMPs, I do a lot of admin and dev work, but those are the only two I actually own. Christmas SMP, it's an SMP at Christmas, hence the name. It's just like a fun, casual 1 month SMP where we have like fun challenges. It's a modded server, so people can like, we have a cool thing where people can like go decorate their own houses. We have like a whole like apartment building. It's pretty cute. It's just one of those fun things where like I co-own them. I wouldn't be able to solo own an SMP, I don't think, because I just don't have the time. SMPs are a lot of work to run. Like, just because, like, yeah, I could go develop an SMP. It wouldn't take me that long. It'd be fine. But you have to do the upkeep. You have to, like, constantly putting stuff out on Twitter. So, like, it's constantly out there. You have to be hosting new events and adding new feet. Yeah, keep it interesting. Which is really hard to do when you're doing it alone. Which is why I don't really do it, because I'm just always so busy. So Christmas SMP is a 1 month thing where we'll plan it all out beforehand. We have a few people who will like be able to be more hands-on with it. And we split them, like with the original SMP, which is our Origins server, which is we ran the second season of it.
Is that going on right now? Origins SMP, is that going on? That's going on right now, or no? Or is that a different one?
No, that's a different one. The originals, it ran January. Yeah, it's different. It ran from January to like July last year. This year we ran it from February to May this year because we wanted to keep it shorter. And that we had 5 owners. There's 5 of us. Well, okay, there's 2 owners and then like 3 other like directors. We split all the workload. We'll split like who's going to do these tweets, who's going to host these type of events, or like who's going to do this development. Like we split it so that way no one's overwhelmed. No, it's the workload which is a lot, isn't put on one person. Like I could develop an SMP myself, easy. But the upkeep for an SMP is way more challenging than I think a lot of people realize before they go and try and make SMPs. Which is why you see so many SMPs that get made and then they like fall off after like a month. Yeah, it's for that reason at the end of the day.
We talked once again, sorry, I know I keep promoting it, but we talked about SMPs, me and AJ, last week, and we talked about like one of the topics were how you keep an SMP alive, and we've kind of similar said what you said now. So like it's kind of nice hearing from an SMP owner confirming that me and AJX weren't waffling, we were actually correct. You know?
Yeah.
So it's essentially getting that confirmation now from you, which was unintentional, but yeah, it's nice to have kind of thing. But yeah.
I could talk about SMPs and events for ages. My one thing I always say with SMPs is like it's hard to come up with a unique SMP concept nowadays.
Yeah.
However, like it's not impossible. Most people just don't try. I could say so much about SMPs, my very strong opinions on them, but like, it really comes down to there's a lot of SMPs, like a lot of SMPs, and sometimes I think there probably shouldn't be because it's like
same with tournaments.
There's so many. I mean, I think the difference is that when you get invited to an SMP, it's a commitment. If I invite someone to an SMP that lasts a month, I expect them to be committed to that SMP for that month. Obviously, not like on it every second of every day. Yeah, like if I invite someone to an event, that's 2 hours out of your day, maybe like once a month, once every 2 months. I think they're two very different things. Which I think is why it always struggles. You know, like I can be invited to 3 SMPs today that will all go for like the rest of the year. I can't put equal attention into each of them because I have other things I need to do as well. One SMP might have more fun features than the other. One SMP might have more of my friends on the other. But you get into an issue where so many people make SMPs and all the same people are joining these SMPs. Only one SMP can be the most active SMP out of all those SMPs because they have the same people on them.
Yeah, exactly.
There's only so many people that are wanting to join SMPs, I think is the issue.
Once again, referring to the podcast, I'm so sorry. I'm kind of using this to promote, but it's just because it's a topic.
That's good.
One of the topics, which is why, which was my choice to talk about, and it was kind of because I mean, AJX kind of took the lead. AJX took the lead on talking about how you keep a podcast alive. I took the lead on talking about are SMPs oversaturated, and this podcast right now that I'm talking about is coming out in 2 days from when we're recording this. So it's not like you can go and watch it yet if you were planning to. But yeah, well, essentially, long story short, it was a yes and no answer kind of thing. Because it was down to a lot of things. Like one of my points, which I explained a lot better. So here it's going to sound really basic, but I explained my reason behind it. Because I don't want to get too much into it, like talking about the same topic twice. But I was like, it becomes oversaturated when Lifesteal SMP is a really original, for its time, was a really original idea, really, really good. But then when there's 5 or 6 smaller SMPs that last about a month or 2 following the same concept, them SMPs are oversaturated, not Lifesteal. Once again, that was like it sounds really broad and basic when I say it now, but I explain my reasoning and I actually go.
It's a good point. Like it's I get it. I think it also comes down to the creators a lot that you're putting on these SMPs.
Yeah,
like if a creator's invited to Yeah, like if a creator's invited to 3 servers that are all like have a similar lifesteal concept, you know, like there's only so much content they can make. Like there's only so much effort they can put into SMPs.
And then they'll pick their favorite one as
difficult.
well that they'll want to play more.
Yeah, I have a notes app on my computer, and every time I see an SMP come up on Twitter, I add it to my list. My current list is at, what's it at? Let me see, 382.
Yeah, see, I mean, I'm assuming NPC's SMP is on that list.
Yeah, it is.
I quite enjoy it. I think NPC's SMP is kind of just purposely made just for a few friends to have a laugh. Like that's all it is. NPC's SMP was never made, or like that's why it was just promoted on Nebula's account. It was just promoted the idea of it on Nebula's account.
I will say my issue with people that say that, like I think in some cases it's okay. Like this case, it wasn't made to be. Like I say, it was promoted on just Nebula's account. But I see a lot of the time when people were like this is a really cool SP. We're gonna make a Twitter account. We're gonna like make all these cool marketing for it, and it's like, oh, well, it's just an SMP for a few friends. And I'm just like, if you want to play Minecraft with some friends, why did you have to make a big deal about it? Like, just go play Minecraft with friends. You don't need to make it into like this really big thing. Like, that may be a hot take, but like, I see so many people
it's a good
like.
Take. It's a really good take. I completely agree.
Like I think if you're going to play Minecraft with friends, absolutely. Like, you can make like a whole bit out of it. But when people turn these SMPs into like these SMPs that are just for friends into like these really big marketed projects, and it's just like, why? Like, what was the point? Just go play Minecraft.
Yeah.
But you know that might just be me. That might just be my hot take. But yeah, that's one of my thoughts.
No, I what's it called? No, I completely agree. And that's why I feel like NPC's SMP gets away with it, because you know we the only reason we promote it as an SMP is so the viewers knew it. I mean, this is my take. I'm speaking from my opinion here. This isn't from anyone else's opinion on NPC's SMP. So I want to be very clear. How I see it, and it could be completely wrong, is it was promoted on Nebula's account. It was promoted as NPC's SMP, so people knew that the creators that were gonna be in it, and it kind of just helped, like, because people know what NPCs is, people know it exists, so the idea of like NPCs SMP kind of exposed who's in NPCs, because there's a lot of people who kind of try and keep track of that. I know one of them is Void Kiddo, who's always been quite interested in who's in NPCs. So it's a bit like House Builder Gang. Say like they ever just decided to make a silly goofy SMP, they'd announce it, like they'd be like, oh, HBG SMP, just a few friends having a go on a Minecraft server. But like, because we didn't make a Twitter account, because we didn't hype up the event, literally all our names were just on the same thing. It was orange, it just had a bit of text on it. You know, that was like, yeah. And I've got an idea for like lore. Well, not really lore. Like I'm planning an event with Nebula. Right now the lag's not amazing on it, so once that gets fixed, I'm planning an event with Neb. I want to do one because I have a pretty cool idea, which is I don't think has been done on SMPs before. Probably has, but like it's not common, nor is it really that interesting, but it's just a different concept. But like, you know, it's just a fun little event. But like, it's with the podcast, for example. Like, this podcast warrants its own Twitter account. It warrants its own different channel and stuff like that, because I constantly upload on it. I constantly announce it. I mean, I've like, ever since my return, I've uploaded I think like 21 podcasts. This isn't including this one or the ones that come out this week of recording. And it's like, now I'm uploading 2 every single week. But like, if it was just going to be a podcast I uploaded once a month on my main channel, I wouldn't make a big new Twitter account for it. And I feel like a lot of people like go in, they make a Twitter account, hyping up this big SMP, and then it dies after 2 weeks. So, but like I said, if you want to hear more of my views on the SMP, not you, Jay, just the viewer, go watch last week's midweek MC. So there you go, final promotion of that. Sorry, it's just so people kind of know, because people probably are listening to this who listen to that podcast, especially because we're talking about SMPs, and it's like, I just don't want to kind of, you know, do you get what I mean? Does that make any sense?
Yeah,
I don't
that makes sense. I know, I do agree. I think the way you guys did NPCs, I think that's the example of something I think it's fine. It's more, like I said, like make a big deal out of it. It's just you and your friends. Like what's the point?
Yeah, no law. You play the survival world, you get bored after 2 weeks. And it's like, oh, what was the entire point of hyping up this big SMP?
Yeah, like you're gonna join another SMP in a couple of weeks anyway. So like, what's the point?
Yeah, exactly. So any more on the SMP topic then, Jake? Or is that kind of for the majority the opinions you have? The ones I know some of you can go on for ages, but we can't record a 5 hour.
Oh no, I could talk about. If you want to do a 5 hour podcast, it's me ranting about my thoughts on SMPs. I can do that. Trust me.
Honestly, maybe one day. Who knows? Maybe one day we could just genuinely have a sit down. Maybe I could bring you onto a midweek MC and it could be a 5 hour special. Who knows?
You bet. Yeah.
Fair enough. I guess moving on from that then, before we get into the Twitter questions, let's talk about something a bit outside of Minecraft. So I can't remember the name of it. I am really sorry. I should have really gone back and got the name, but I just didn't. Which is on my part, unprofessional, so I apologize. But you've recently released a brand new Roblox game.
Well, I didn't. I was involved in it.
You were involved in it, yeah, but I count it as like, okay, you were involved in a brand new release of a Roblox game.
It wasn't even a release. It was a branded activation of an existing Roblox game. If you want to get technical,
you're gonna have to explain that to me then, because I don't get that.
Okay, it was a marketing agency taking a brand that wanted to do game stuff and connecting them with an already existing Roblox game to create a branded experience within that game to promote that brand.
So what was your impact on that?
I literally just made the video. The video I tweeted was my only involvement in it. I was DM'd by one of the EVNT owners and was like, "Hey, we need a video promoting this activation." And I was like, "Bet." I've never worked with Roblox before. This is the first time ever making a video in Roblox. I've barely even played it, but I had to play that Yeah, no, it was fun because I had to play that Roblox game for about 6 hours to actually be able to film the video because I had to unlock all of the stuff that I need to feature.
Oh yeah, Restaurant Tycoon 2. I just looked back on it. Sorry. It's just
yeah.
Oh yeah, I made this cool video showcasing the Bomb Pop Stage Restaurant Tycoon experience. Sorry, just from my memory, it was a new game. My bad. Like I said, it was really unprofessional to not go back and fact check myself there. But it's lucky that it's just a general conversation, so it's not too bad. But yeah, are you? Because I think you said something about you looking more into doing Roblox work on your website, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna put it out there. Like, if you want to commission me to do a Roblox video, you can. It's interesting I'm glad I got to do it because I've never done it before. But I can say I can make a Roblox video.
Fortnite. There we go. So yeah.
Yeah. I did a couple Fortnite trailers as well. I don't know. I think that some of them might be out. I don't actually remember. Of some of the EVNT Fortnite games, I did a couple of videos for those. I've never really worked in either of those games before, so it's been an interesting experience to try and learn these new things to just I've never ever touched before. It's been interesting.
There's something different, and you're looking to get more into that scene of Roblox and Fortnite away from Minecraft.
No, I think I'll always stick mostly with Minecraft. I would never really I don't really see myself, at least anytime soon, doing development in Roblox or Fortnite. I definitely consider myself doing more videos in them, but it's such a different skill to developing either of those games compared to Minecraft. I don't really see myself really having the time to do it anytime soon.
There's something to look at in the future, maybe.
Yeah.
Also, food review, Jake. What are you eating?
I got pasta.
Oh, what flavour? Like just pasta on its own, or?
I got tomato sauce. I'm a very plain person when it comes to food.
Is it nice though? Yeah.
Yeah,
when did you cook this up? You've been talking the entire time.
My dad came in like 5 minutes ago and just put it on my desk.
Honestly, fair play. You know, I'm very thingy with the podcast. Like I'm very catered to the guests of how I see it, right? And this isn't me trying to say in a bad way. Carry on eating, please. I just thought food review would be funny. It's it's your podcast at the end of the day, so how you are on it. Like if you don't care about eating on the podcast, that's your choice, kind of thing. Because it's
I don't podcast. At the end of the day, if I'm hungry, I'm going to eat food. That's how I see it personally.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying. Sorry, what I mean is when the food review, it wasn't me trying to call you out. It was more as a joke, because at the end of it, it's still your podcast. You know who's listening to you. So if you choose to eat on the podcast, it's your choice, kind of thing. I don't mind when it comes to that. I just thought it'd be funny to ask for a food review because I could tell you.
No, you're good.
I heard the clanging on the plate, and then when you was talking, you was yeah. Just pasta though, nothing else with it. No chicken, no.
There's tuna in it.
Oh, that's quite nice, tuna pasta. That is very good.
Yeah.
I rate that. I guess then moving on to the Twitter questions before we wrap up the podcast then, and then you can go watch a YouTube video and eat, because I don't know if you're like me, I can't eat without watching a YouTube video.
No, yeah, I always have something on when I'm eating.
Yes. I have 3 Twitter questions for you, and you can answer them as easy or as quick or as long as you like. The first one comes from Marsh TV. They have a W in their name, so 2 U's in their name. So Marsh TV, and it's, when are we gonna get more bumpy Miku lore? Which I have no clue what that is. I don't know what that is.
Oh, okay. So the context for that,
You sound disappointed.
I am. No, the context for that is I was helping when I was working on Earthbound SMP. I was helping make the invite images that people could tweet out, and I made my invite image. I was like, you know what, I'm going to make mine funny, I'm going to change the text a bit. And apparently what I changed the text to be a funny reference was a reference to some anime or something. I don't know anything about anime. I don't know who Hatsune no Miku is. I'll be so real with you, but someone was like made a joke, and then they drew this drawing of me. I guess I assume it's me of that character. So that
oh my god,
that's behind that.
That's quality. Also, that skin that you sent me about an hour and a half ago. That's also a quality skin as well.
Yeah.
If you look at my Twitter banner, mine is of me as Princess Peach. So which has like
that's a slayer.
Yeah, I know, and I love it. But yeah, no, that was for Mania Pride. Our original skins were meant to be Princess Peach, and I leaked it. After like they saw our skins, I leaked it. It was originally the idea. So someone called Salad is the Real decided to draw me as Princess Peach. So, but yeah, that's fair. The next one comes from the MC Wipeout official account, by the way, and it's what's your favorite event that you've worked on? They did also add in their tweet other than us, but you know what is it? Obviously, I don't want to put you on a spot here, so if you don't want to name one, you don't have to. You can just say all of them. But if you do have a specific one that you've enjoyed the most, I mean, you've kind of given away in the podcast already, anyways. But
I mean, I'm very bad with naming favorite anythings. I'm terrible when it comes to that. I could say multiple. I think, like I was saying, Survivor is one of my favorite events that I've done. So Nana's Longest Alive is the actual name. What else? MC Prom. MC Prom was definitely one. I think MC Prom and Nana's Longest Alive are probably two of my favorites.
And Fight
Games.
I picked out. Somehow the three that I picked out are your favorites, and that's
because they were like the biggest headline ones, but they were the ones I had the most fun working on.
Yeah, the names just stood out to me.
Yeah, MC Wipeout is definitely up there. But I think the difference with MC Wipeout is that it's just a very different event. Working on it is very different to working on any other event.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to rank, I guess.
It's also the ones that you kind of do one time as well, are kind of like a bit easier to say. Because like Wipeout can be your favorite, but you've worked on it so much. It's like, you know.
Yeah, I spent a year and a half working on Wipeout. So
exactly. So it can still be one of your favorites, but it's different to working on a one-time kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the final one comes from I Am Maker, and I don't know if this is true or not. I was going to ask this, but I wanted to say for the Twitter question. They asked, when did you make the transition from SMP to event content, and how did you do it so successfully? So is this true? Did you actually make a transition from just SMPs to events?
I mean, okay, technically I made SMPs before I made events. But I was always kind of like working on them in conjunction. It like, if anything, I made my first big event before I made my first big SMP.
You were just known more for SMPs, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. I think the events I worked on, I guess like the first big SMP I worked on was the originals, back in the start of 2022. But before that point, I hadn't really worked. I'd worked on events, but I had no really big events. My first big event came in June, but up until June, I worked on probably like 5 or 6 other SMPs. So that's probably why. But I always had stuff cooking in the background, I guess.
Yeah, it just wasn't main run until recently, or like until it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. See, like I said, it answers as quickly or as long as you'd like, and there we go. We went for the kind of quicker answers there. But with that being said, then bumpyJake, I know I wish we could spend more time talking about all the events we've worked on and all the SMPs we've worked on. But it also can't be a 5-hour podcast. Mainly just kind of catering for the viewer experience as well. But it's more catering for the viewer experience as well. Like I'm not sure how many people would like to sit down and listen to us waffle for 5 hours. But maybe one day, maybe in the future, when I move out and can stay up past, well, my parents don't go to bed at like 9:30 p.m. and I can actually stay up later waffling away. Maybe we can actually spend a big podcast talking about it. Maybe down the line, if something big happens, we can kind of feed off of that. So
yeah, no, absolutely.
Before I do the outro, then bumpyJake, would you like to promote anything you want? Anything you want within reason, of course. Say it now. Hold your peace.
Follow Twitter. That's really it. I have a lot of socials, but Twitter at bumpyJake on Twitter.
There we go.
And I talk about all my new projects get announced from there. So if you're ever looking to join an event, follow my Twitter, because I always like announce like public events on there, like this and hide and seek. So if you're ever looking to be in stuff, my Twitter is a good place to be. And obviously I'm going to announce commissions soon. bumpyjake.com. You can also view my whole portfolio on that website as well. By the time this podcast comes out, I would have actually updated it with everything new, so you can check that out as well. But yeah, that's it.
There we go. Nice and easy. With that being said, then, this has been the InsideMC podcast, the part of the podcast where I sit down with a very amazing guest, and this week it was bumpyJake. Someone who's very cool, someone who I could waffle away with for hours on end, but for the viewers' experience, we've kept it short. Thank you all for watching. Stay safe. I'll see you all next week. Don't eat too much bread. Pieces.